story, my backstory, I grew up with both of my parents. They've been together forever. And two younger sisters. One's 14, one is 6. And I'm the oldest, and I grew up in a Christian home. We were all Pentecostal. We went to church every Sunday, went to church on Wednesdays, and I had missionettes, and then on Friday we had the youth services, and my dad was in Bible school, and so we went to church even on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so I was always in church. I grew up in church. My best friend was the youth pastor's daughter. I was always around them. So I knew of God. I knew who He was, but I didn't find myself having a relationship with Him until I was on the verge of death. So growing up, I was always very skinny and very tall, which I still am, but as a kid, that was something I got bullied for. And so I always got told, why are you so skinny, and you look like a skeleton, you should eat more, and do you throw up? And so I began, in middle school, I began to think, okay, maybe I do have an eating disorder, something is wrong with me. I'll eat so much and nothing happens. And so at one point I just stopped eating, because I thought, why eat? It's not doing anything for me. I'm not gaining any weight. People are still going to bully me, so why even eat? Why does it matter? And it was this constant back and forth struggle of eating and not eating, and people feeding me all these lies. And because I wasn't really in a relationship with God, I didn't know how to handle all that. And so things got way worse on top of that. Things started to escalate when two girls in my middle school went on social media and posted disgusting things about me, calling me all these names, calling me a prostitute, which I was the quietest girl. Like, I had my 2-3 friends, and I wasn't one of those kids who was involved in anything. So there was no reason for me to be any of those things. But it got really bad. I began to get, I guess people would call it now, sexually harassed. Guys were just really mean, saying mean things to me, being really disgusting. And it all got to the point where, why even try anymore? I didn't feel like things would get better. Things just got really bad. My parents didn't really know about it. They knew that I struggled with getting bullied, but I don't think they ever understood the severity of it. And so every single time I would tell them that I want to maybe go to counseling or just talk to somebody about it, I'd always get told, talk to God about it. But I didn't know how to talk to God about it. I didn't know anything that had to do with how He can still save me, even though He already died on the cross for me, when I felt like I was slowly dying. And so I just remember one day just sitting in my in the guest room, and I wrote out a letter saying goodbye to everybody. And I was ready. I had the knife, and I was just in tears because that was going to be my last day. And so something just came over me, and I felt like God was telling me everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work for my good, and you will come out of this. And so I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew that I couldn't go through with it. And so time passed, and I've always loved singing. And so I began to get involved with the youth group and in fine arts and the worship team and doing vocal solos. And that's really truly where I found what having a relationship with God is, and having to rely on Him and find my strength and my insecurities, casting them onto Him and letting Him take over, and not letting all these people feed lies into me, because I'm God's daughter and He made me in His image, and there's nothing wrong with me. And so it's still a process. It was a process then, it's still a process now to continue to walk in that, just especially with how social media portrays people of my size. Being a size 1 isn't okay. Being 5'8" and weighing 130 pounds is not okay. So it's still a process that isn't as detrimental, that's the right word, as it used to be when I was younger. But I'm glad that I'm still here. I know that God has a plan for me, and He made me this way for a reason. And so I just hope that I don't have to see anybody go through what I went through. I know it's out there, I know it's happening, and it shouldn't. And I wish I could reach out to those people and tell them that, you know, God loves you. Nobody's opinion or thoughts are worth taking in, because God made you for who you are, and He made you in His image, and you're beautiful and you're perfect. So I know that God's gonna one day be able to use me in that format and be able to pour into people who have struggled with bullying and even anxiety, which is something that I've also struggled, that came along with that, and depression that came along with that, and bipolar disorder, that, you know, one day being really happy and feeling like God loves me, and then the next day just not wanting to even walk out of the room. And so I'm really happy that I'm still here. So my parents have always been really supportive, especially now that they have more knowledge about all these mental disorders and bullies, and the Christian perspective on these things and how God can handle them. But yeah, that's my testimony.